Here is the answer for day 2. Find the domain of the function and identify any horizontal or vertical asymptotes. So let's tackle the domain first. The domain of a linear function is all real numbers because any number can be plugged in for x. The domain of a quadratic is all real numbers. The domain of a square root function is all real numbers except for any values that would make a negative number under the square root. So that's what we need to think about here, is that the domain is going to be all real numbers except for any that are restricted. This is a rational function, meaning it has a fraction and there's a variable in the bottom. So we cannot use any number for x that would make a 0 in the denominator. Well, 2 subtract 2 would make a 0, so x cannot be 2. So our domain is all reals except for 2. Now let's tackle horizontal asymptotes. If we were to graph this, then are there any horizontal lines that the branches of the function get really, really close to but never reach? To find horizontal asymptotes without actually graphing, let's rewrite so that the numerator and denominator are in standard form. This is x plus 2 over negative x plus 2. For horizontal asymptotes, we're interested in creating the ratio of leading coefficients. So the coefficient on x is 1, the coefficient on this x is negative 1. 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. So there is a horizontal asymptote that has the equation y equals negative 1. Now let's tackle vertical asymptotes. Vertical asymptotes are any vertical lines on the graph that the branches would get really, really close to but never touch. Those vertical lines would exist at any restricted values of x. We had already figured out that x cannot be a 2. So there's a vertical asymptote crossing the x-axis at 2. So here are my 3 solutions to what was asked. Now let's take a look at the graph and confirm that we're right. Notice I've got the function typed in with the y equals key. Notice the parentheses around the numerator and the parentheses around the denominator. And then we'll press graph. On this calculator, we can see that there is a horizontal line going across the screen, crossing the y-axis at negative 1, that those branches get close to. We can also see that there's a vertical line that the branch gets close to right here, and that vertical line comes down through x equals 2. And then as it continues down the screen, this other branch gets really close to it. Those are our asymptotes. The calculator confirms that there are no x values on the graph that have an x coordinate of 2.